Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 49ers Golden Ticket. My name is Gabriel, and today we're going to be going over the press conference that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan held on Monday regarding their trade up to the number 3 overall pick. It is also the first time that they have made themselves available to the media since the end of the season, and I'm going to go over what I believe that they had said in that press conference, whether there was an under meaning or whether they were just very blunt about it, which Kyle Shanahan has been known to be. And I'm also going to go over who I think the top 3 options are at that number 3 overall pick. All right, now let's dive into that juicy press conference that we'd all been waiting for. One of the first things that was asked, however, was to John and Kyle about whether or not they had contacted Jimmy Garoppolo before they had made the trade, or at least before the trade was announced. And Kyle confirmed that he had reached out before the trade was announced publicly to Jimmy Garoppolo to make him aware that they were moving up to number 3. And we all had assumed most likely it would be for a quarterback. And this situation sort of confirms that, as well as other comments throughout the press conference confirmed that they are definitely looking to upgrade at the quarterback position behind Jimmy Garoppolo, because they did reassure him that he would be the starting quarterback for the 49ers this year, which is a very, very interesting turn of events, because all the offseason chatter about cap room, well, Parag Marath and John Lynch and that whole front office really did some amazing things in free agency that not even our ownership or our front office or coach were able to see us doing. And that was bringing back almost all of our starters and trying to put together another run for the Super Bowl. And who better to lead us at the helm than a player who already knows our offensive system and has already taken us to one Super Bowl than Jimmy Garoppolo this season. Of course, a lot of those free agents that we were able to bring out back and free up cap space for, or a lot of them will be on one-year deals. John had talked about that in the interview as well. He mentioned that hopefully the Niners will be in a better position next offseason to bring back those guys on a longer term deal, but they just didn't have the wiggle room this season. And so it was a blessing for the 49ers to retain most of those players on those one-year deals, those one-year prove-it deals. But really, for those players, it turns out it was just an opportunity for them to come back, showcase their skills in a system they're familiar with, on a team that they have a chance to win it all with players that they know well and are very close to. So it's hard to uproot your life and move everything for a one-year contract. So they decided to come back to the Niners, reprove themselves, and hope for more money next year when the cap goes up. So that was definitely something that was interesting because it sounded a little bit like if we didn't bring back all those players, that the odds were higher that we were going to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. John and Kyle went through the same off-season thought processes that we all did. You know, they apparently were FaceTiming each other every day about, hey, what should we do? Scenario A, B, and C, or, what if F happens? Then we got to go back to D and L. And they were playing the same connect the dots that all the fans and media were all off season. And so trading up to this number 3 pick let Kyle Shanahan have his mind rest, I guess. As he put it, he was finally able to have some clarity, and there weren't as many variables to distract him or to get in the way of what it was that they wanted. They made it sound like they don't know what they want at the number 3 pick, which is a little bit concerning, but I don't believe that. They said they're going to take the next month and evaluate, but there's no way you give up 2 future first-round picks and a third-round pick in exchange for that number 3 pick. You don't just give that up and not know who you're taking. The timing of it all is very weird. It happened at BYU's Pro Day, where Zach Wilson was putting on a show for coaches, and that same day, and even while still at the BYU Pro Day, the 49ers moved up to the number 3 pick, where potentially Zach Wilson falls, which is also another interesting subject, because John Lynch had said that the first 2 picks everybody already kind of knows, right? And he said that the first pick, Trevor Lawrence, and then he kind of started to backpedal on the second one with the Jets, um, because maybe he had some information that he wasn't supposed to say, and he almost slipped up a little bit earlier when he said that everybody kind of already knows what their plan is. And then he related Jacksonville to Trevor Lawrence, and then he stopped there at the Jets. So either the Jets told them, hey, we're taking Zach Wilson, so, that's what it is, and the Niners still liked maybe a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance or Mac Jones. No, I'm not going to get too down on Mac Jones. The guy can throw the ball very well. He's very quick and decisive. He just doesn't have all the athletic ability that a Justin Fields or Trey Lance would bring to the table, or even a Zach Wilson for that matter. But we'll dive into that a little bit later. I want to get back into the press conference and about John having a little bit of an idea of what's happening at 1 and 2. And I think that that's what gave him the confidence to move up to number 3. So maybe that is for Zach Wilson, but I don't think it is. I think Zach Wilson's going number 2 there to the Jets. So really, who is it? And that's what the media, of course, continues to say. And then they asked Kyle about Kirk Cousins, and you basically saw Kyle melted on screen, just gushing over Kirk Cousins and how great of a quarterback he is. And he almost got himself in trouble there. He had to check with John Lynch and make sure that he wasn't saying anything he wasn't supposed to. So a little bit of comedic relief there with the press conference as well. John and Kyle always full of personality, full of great answers. They were very blunt in a lot of the questions that were asked, and they answered them very honestly. Kyle did say that, the family atmosphere thing was really big there in San Francisco, John being an ex-player himself, and now a Hall of Famer, of course, this year's class of Hall of Fame. Huge congratulations to him. But that relationship is tighter, I think, because of that, and that's why a lot of the players wanted to come back. And Kyle said, was hard to not show love for our players, but happy to have them home after a tough week. And that tough week was a tough week of free agency where they all went out and they thought they were going to get bigger deals, and they didn't. The only real big deal that we made was Trent Williams, and that was we had to make him the highest paid tackle or he was going to leave us. And that would have left us with a huge hole there at left tackle, and we wouldn't have been able to make this move up to the number 3 pick to get a quarterback. So the way the dominoes fell for the 49ers this offseason, they didn't see it playing out this way, but it worked out for the best, they feel. And as a fan, I feel so too, because we get to find out who is it that has Kyle Shanahan's eye. We haven't seen it since he's been here because he hasn't drafted a quarterback other than CJ Beathard in the 3rd round. Maybe hoping to find a diamond in the rough there, but it just didn't work out. And now we get to see what Kyle is looking for in a top 3 pick at quarterback. So I'm really excited to see that. I know, fans are riled up over it, and that's why I want to dive into a little bit of the next 3 people after Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence that I think the Niners are heavily eyeing here, and some upside, also some consistency. And so we just have a mixed bag of things of the guys that we're looking at. And so that's what makes it so intriguing. The first guy I want to dive into, and he's actually my favorite of the 3 quarterbacks we're going to talk about, and that's going to be Trey Lance. Now, Trey Lance is a 1-year starter out of North Dakota State where Carson Wentz went to school, and so people are trying to draw a lot of comparisons there, but I do feel that Lance is the much, much more athletic quarterback. He is smooth runner, although he does take some hits because he lowers his head instead of swerving. And so I do worry a little bit that he's going to take some hits in the NFL that he shouldn't, and that could potentially get him injured. But till now, he does not have an injury history. And the reason why I think this is the perfect kind of quarterback for Kyle to groom is because we do plan on keeping Jimmy Garoppolo this year. So this allows somebody like Trey Lance to grow. Now, Trey Lance, people are going to knock him because he only has 1 year of starting experience. It was a low level of competition school, right? Who was he playing against? Every time Trey Lance stepped on the field, he was the best athlete on the field. So really, what does that say? That's not going to be the case when he gets into the NFL. So that's a really big knock on him. But I will say that the tape that you're watching on Trey Lance was from when the kid was 18 years old. He's coming into the draft at only 20 years old. He's 6'4", about 230, with tons of room to grow. I don't know if you guys had the chance to watch his pro day, but when that kid was throwing the ball, you could literally hear it whistling after it absolutely flew off of his hand. He's got a quick release. He's very mobile, so he can roll out. And in college, he was actually one of the more, I guess you could say, cerebral quarterbacks pre-snap. He did take snaps from under center, and then he would come up and could change the play. He was making calls, right? Mike, changing the call to line of scrimmage. He had no problem doing play action, turning his back to the defense. Those are all things that Kyle Shanahan's going to look for in a quarterback. He wants to know that that quarterback is confident enough to put his back to the defense, right, and fake the handoff. And then when he comes and turns back around, be able to scan the field through his reads, through his progressions, and get it to the open guy, right? That's something that Kyle Shanahan can look at the tape and see. And those are all great qualities in a quarterback. He appears accurate. He had no turnovers in his first full season. 0 turnovers. I think 47 total touchdowns. That's almost unheard of, right? But again, the knock is he's a running quarterback. The level of competition. There were games where North Dakota State was blowing people out so much that they were just removing Trey Lance from the game. And that's why he averaged only, I think it was 18 throws a game throughout his collegiate career, because they were just winning. That level of competition just didn't match what he was bringing to the table. Now, should that be a knock or should that be a compliment? Right? It just depends on how you look at it and what it is that you're looking for. Trey Lance is an intriguing prospect. He made some wow throws at his pro day. The ball flies off his hand. He's quick. I want to say he's probably in the 4.5 range if he were to run a 40. I don't believe he did at his pro day, or at least I missed it. I'll have to go back and check that for you guys. However, Trey Lance is an absolute stud. His interview, he seems mature. He's hungry to learn. And from everything that I hear through the media surrounding Trey Lance, is that the kid breathes and loves football. So that's the quarterback position. He has to wake up every day. How can he get better? Diving into a playbook, diving into plays, whatever it is, breaking down film. The kid is breathing football every single day, and that's what makes, for me, Trey Lance a very, very intriguing prospect and somebody I would love to see the 49ers grab to sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo for at least one season. And hey, if Jimmy takes us to a Super Bowl, who's to say we don't bring him back for the final year of his contract? See what happens. The second quarterback I want to dive into is going to be Justin Fields. Now, Justin Fields is probably the overwhelming favorite to go number 3 overall to the San Francisco 49ers. He is a 6'3", 227-pound quarterback, physical specimen like none other. He absolutely brings the complete package to the NFL. I believe he can read defenses. He's shown it on tape. Regardless of what you hear out there throughout multiple games in his collegiate career, he has gone through the progressions. He is not a one-read quarterback. I will say something that I heard from Dan Orlowski of NFL Live and ESPN was his throwing motion. Now he has a little extra movement where he dips his elbow, right? Instead of always being locked and ready, he kind of dips his elbow and then comes up, and that could cause his throwing motion to be slower than other quarterbacks, and that could potentially be the knock because it gives defensive backs time to react to the quarterback. Now, outside of that, I personally don't see a lot of holes in Justin Fields' game. I think he's a tremendous leader. He's obviously very, very tough. He broke his ribs in a game, came back one play later, and went on to score 6 touchdowns to win that game against Trevor Lawrence and the Clemson Tigers. Justin Fields brings that 4.43 speed to the quarterback position. That's what he ran at his pro day. I mean, he's just unbelievable. He makes all the throws that Zach Wilson can make, all the ones that wow you. He did that at his pro day as well. He tried to say it wasn't because of Zach Wilson that he made those types of throws at his pro day. He said that they had actually trained together and they had similar scripts. So we don't know how much that is true, but it was interesting to see that every throw Wilson made, Fields made the same throws. In fact, I thought Fields even threw some better and more accurate passes than Wilson. But there is just something about Zach Wilson, whether it's his moxie, his swag, or just the smoothness of his release that just makes his football look that much prettier. But it's not always the pretty things that get it done. Justin Fields gets it done. And he makes every throw. He runs a pro-style offense. Now, also in his interviews, people did try to harp on him about that one read situation, and he had a brilliant answer. He just said, look, I got Chris Olave and these other great wide receivers who are a class above the competition. And so most of the time, his first or second read was open, and he didn't need to jeopardize the chances of his team winning just to showcase his skills. And I just thought that was kind of big of him because in college, these kids are playing for the NFL. So the fact that he wanted to play for his teammates and to win was actually pretty mature of him. Those are the things that you love about Justin Fields. Now, another knock was that he is, according to Dan Orlovsky, also the last guy in, first guy out. So you always want to hear with your quarterback, he's the first guy in. So in the morning, when you get to the facility, he's already there working, right? But that doesn't seem, or what we hear seem to be the case of Justin Fields. And then also at the end of practice, if you have some receivers trying to get on the same page and they want to stay after and throw a couple of balls, or hey, you want to get your arm stronger, stay in the weight room and get a couple extra reps. Well, it doesn't sound like Justin Fields is that guy either. As said, last one in, first one out. So if those are true, yeah, those are huge knocks on Justin Fields. You can't have that in the NFL because the other players will not respect you. These guys spent their whole lives and every moment getting to these moments that they're in. And for the leader of the team to come in and not take it as seriously as them could be a huge problem. And I do see that being an issue with Justin Fields. But again, those are reports, and there's a chance that that stuff is not true because the media does sometimes, as a favor to teams that they're close to, put out information to get a player's value to drop. Maybe the Dolphins did it with Laramie Tunsil long ago, and then, of course, they're still reaping the benefits from that. Now we get to our final quarterback, Mac Jones out of Alabama. He is another one-year starter, but the hype around him just makes him sound like he's the most experienced quarterback in this draft because everyone claims he's the most pro-ready. But the thing on Mac Jones is, as mentioned, he is a one-year starter. He's a pure pocket passer, although he moves very well in the pocket, but he's not going to get outside and gain you a bunch of yards on with his feet like a Trey Lance or a Justin Fields can when Kyle Shanahan makes the wrong call, which does happen. He doesn't have to be right all the time, although he is right most of the time. But it's nice to have those legs when you do make a bad play call, and Mac Jones, I don't think, offers that for the 49ers. However, he offers a quick release, not quite Jimmy G quick, but it is definitely up there, and a quick processor, as they call it. He dissects a defense with his mind quickly, goes through his progressions very quickly, and he's decisive. So as soon as he sees the guy open, he anticipates with, he throws with anticipation. So the ball gets to where the receiver's going, and he doesn't need to see his receiver open like Justin Fields appears to need to. There's been instances where if the guy wasn't wide open, Justin Fields didn't throw the ball. Now, that could potentially be another knock on him. But hey, we're going back to Mac Jones. So Mac Jones doesn't do that. He doesn't need to see his wide receivers open. He showed that all this year. And then even last year when he filled in for spots against for Tua Tagovailoa when he got injured. And if you ask some of the Alabama wide receivers which quarterback they'd rather catch passes from. There's been a handful to come out and support Mac Jones. And remember, Tua was a top 5 pick last year. So maybe us, as fans and in the media are missing something on Mac Jones, because as players and coaches and everything that I hear from that side of things, they absolutely love Mac Jones and think that he is potentially worthy of that number 3 pick. I believe in Kyle Shanahan and I would push forth with that thought. But I do want to dive into some of the other things about Mac Jones and his positives. He showed a lot of personality at his pro day. He was having a blast, talking to his guys, hanging out with his guys, throwing to his guys, interviewing with his guys. He got Devonta Smith, who would come out on Twitter and Instagram or whatever and said that he wasn't going to run or anything at his pro day, and he wasn't going to work out. And Mac still got him to come out to Alabama and catch some passes for him for the quarterback so he could show off some of his deep ball, and he looked like what you want in a pocket passer. But then when he was throwing to some of those other guys, he missed a lot of throws, overthrew them. So I don't know what that means. Maybe he's just not ready to throw to people who are not NFL ready wide receivers. And the Niners do have some NFL ready wide receivers. Mac would step into a good situation with a strong offensive line and some really studs at the wide receiver position. He can go out there, make quick decisions, quick strikes, get the ball downfield quickly, and he'll execute Kyle Shanahan's offense. So those are some of the things that Mac Jones brings to the table. But things that do worry me is, even though people talk about him like he's ready today, he has as much starting experience as Trey Lance. And the big knock on Trey Lance is that he doesn't have enough starting experience. That's all I got for you guys today as far as the 49ers press conference and the quarterback situation and the guys we might be looking at. I do appreciate all of your time. Please, if you have any more questions, leave them in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter at 49ersGT. Ask your questions there. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel a bunch. Get some more information out there for the fans. All right, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.